So what's happening? So we are here talking about Islam, and we had kind of left off as Islam is getting ready to start spreading throughout Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, Northern Africa, getting all the way into Europe and India as well. And it's all going to take place rather quickly. So we're going to talk really fast because that's how Islam spreads. It spreads really fast, all right? But first, before we get going into the spread of Islam, we're going to talk about right there at the very beginning of Islam when it finally takes shape, all right? And if you're looking at this right here, Muhammad's return to Mecca, we are at this point to where Muhammad, when he was spoken to, oh, will you do me a favor, Ms. Firehammer?
Yes.
Will you bring up a picture right now on there of Saudi Arabia so we can show them Medina and Mecca?
Yes, I think I have one in my pictures.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Nostrovia. Now, so what we have here is remember that.
That's not going to help, is it?
Yeah, I don't know if that would help with them. Do the magnify. Throw that in there. There we go. And then bump that up.
There we go.
All right. So we see Mecca right there. High hand. And so Mecca is the place where Muhammad starts out. But nobody liked his ideas of a one God, monotheistic, salvation kind of religion. And they
Except for his wife.
Except
He
for
was
his
the
wife.
first convert to Islam.
True love. And so they get kind of run out of Mecca and they get forced up to Medina. I don't know, is Medina on there?
It might be with its other name.
Is that Medina right there? That's it. That one up there. And so he gets sent north up there to that Al Medina. And it's Medina is the name of the city. And so he goes up there and people actually follow him and convert. And he goes up and he gets this army put together and he travels back to Mecca. And all of those people that were against him in Mecca, he conquers. He takes over. And at that point, Islam is secure in Mecca. All right. So we are now getting to this idea that he imposes a government dedicated to Allah. At this point now we see this idea of Islam being able to be a form of government, a system of trade, of organizing society, all of these things that we'll get to, all right? And at the center of Islam is going to be this religious icon, the Kaaba, all right? And the Kaaba is at the center of Muslim worship, and it is actually taken from like polytheistic religious beliefs prior to Islam starting, and he kind of converts it and adopts it into the Muslim religion. But you can see that everybody kind of comes to the center here.
So inside the Kaaba, before Islam started, there was a bunch of different idols from a polytheistic religion that was in Saudi Arabia before Muhammad and his revelation from the angel Gabriel. And he came in. When he came back into Mecca, he went to that Kaaba, he destroyed it, and he was like, this is going to be the center of my religion, of God, of Allah. Sorry, it's Allah. And so he transformed the Kaaba from a polytheistic icon to a monotheistic icon to Allah.
And so, and this is not, I always thought in the beginning that like this is like one big solid piece of like marble or whatever, but that's not the case.
Mm-mm.
It is open inside there?
That's what I believe. You can go in there. I think there's a kind of a shrine dedicated to Allah in there, but I don't know if normal people can go in there.
But like super cool people like you and I
Yeah,
could go.
obviously.
We could go. Okay, cool. So we keep moving. So now Islam is going to spread. And this is where we're going to talk really fast because Islam really spreads really super fast, all right?
So Muhammad dies, unfortunately, in 632, and it just plunges everyone into despair. They're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? Muhammad's dead. What are we going to do? But one of his early followers, Abu Bakr, stay with me. I know I'm going to butcher these people's names. So Abu Bakr, they elect him as the first caliph. Caliph meaning like leader. So everyone kind of follows him just like they followed Muhammad, and he starts to spread this idea of Islam throughout Saudi Arabia, throughout the Middle East, and I think I got a map somewhere. So he becomes the first caliph, one of the first leaders. Oh, gotta
Down a
go
little bit.
past. There it is.
This one?
Yep. So he becomes one of the first caliphs, and there's I think it's about 100 years. There's 4 caliphs, 4 leaders, and they start to spread this idea of Islam throughout the Middle East. And you can see that in this map that I have here. You can see it spreads all the way throughout, excluding the kind of pink areas, because that's the Umayyad Empire, which we're going to get to really quickly here. But within these first 100 years, it just spreads out of Saudi Arabia. You can see it there out of Mecca, Medina. It spreads into Egypt, spreads all throughout the Middle East. It even goes and they go in and destroy the Persian Empire. Do you remember we talked about the Persian Empire? They were these big, huge empires. And then they also come in and they take out land from the Byzantine Empire. And they were able to do this because the Byzantine Empire and the Persian Empire were fighting each other constantly. So they were just exhausted. So when the Islamic caliphs and the Islamic people came up, and people started listening to their ideas of the Islamic religion. They were like, this is so cool. And so it just spreads, and it takes over areas of the Persian Empire. It takes over areas of the Byzantine Empire. And then...
So then what's going to happen is like all good things, they must come to an end. And we now get to, and so as the caliphs went, all right, it was kind of this idea of like, all right, who's the next religious leader that's going to take over, all right? And so finally, the last person to take it over was Ali, correct?
Correct.
And now he was a Shiite. And remember, we talked about Sunnis and Shiites, and it was the idea that Shiites thought that the caliph should be a direct ancestor to Muhammad.
Because obviously Muhammad had the divine inspiration from the angel Gabriel, so his descendants will have it too. That's what the Shiites believed.
And so you then have him, and he is assassinated.
Yes, he's assassinated by a member of the Umayyad
dynasty. And so this is going to start kind of the succession of emperors that we're used to, like in Rome and other places, to where like you die and your kid takes over. Mm-hmm. All right. And so it was kind of one of those things that it started along family bloodlines now for the Umayyad dynasty. Now you can see that they're only around for like 90 years. All right. They expanded, they pushed out.
They established their capital in Damascus, which is in Syria today. It's still a city today, but that's where they established their main capital.
Now, the problem with them was that they were not very nice to people that weren't Muslim or weren't Arab. So when they're conquering like people like Persians or people from India or Europeans or Africans, they would levy a tax on them. And this is eventually going to be their downfall, is that they have a hard time controlling those non-Arab people that they force either into conversion to Islam or, kind of cause resentment against them. And it's going to kind of weaken them internally for the Abbasid dynasty to come in and take over. Now, did you want to say, did I miss anything?
No, just that eventually the Shiites, who absolutely hated the Umayyads for killing Ali and taking over, they kind of come back after the 90 years of the Umayyad dynasty. They come back and they just blow through the Umayyad and they start up the Abbasid dynasty. And one of the funny things is that the leader of the Abbasid, the Abu al-Abbas, right?
Correct.
He comes in, and once he wins over and takes over the Umayyad dynasty, establishes the Abbasid dynasty, he brings all the remaining Umayyad family members in the one room and just kills them all. He's like, we're done with them.
Yeah, and it was one of those kind of like Godfather moments where he's like, my people, come together, eat dinner with me. We will work this transition together. And then all of a sudden his guards came in and slaughtered all the Umayyad people right there at the dinner table. So pretty sweet. If you're into like the Godfather kind of that stuff, all right. I don't know if I like slaughtering people, but there you go.
So as you can see, the Abbasid dynasty lasted a lot longer. They actually ushered in a golden age of the Islamic Empire, kind of like the Pax Romana that we were talking about with the Roman Empire. That was the golden age of the Roman Empire. The Abbasids bring in a golden age of the Islamic Empire. They start doing a lot of different learning happening in the Islamic Empire, which we're going to get to a little bit later. They usher in just a lot of growth also. I think I got a picture.
They're very accepting of other cultures, other religions, very, very similar to kind of Rome, and this allows them to go through and kind of like sustain that 500 years that they're going to be around.
They also moved the capital from Damascus to Baghdad in Iraq, which does actually help bring in more wealth, because Baghdad, as you can see, is on the Tigris and Euphrates River, which if you go back way back, that was the Fertile Crescent. So there's a lot of great farming, a lot of money circling through there. So they get pretty rich, and they bring in this era of this golden age.
Shannon Pinchuk to the counseling office, please.
Hey, well, that looks like it is our time to go when they're calling Shannon Pinchuk to the office. So if anybody knows Shannon, tell her to get to the office. You guys, we'll see you in a little bit. Be good.